The rise of modern China. Many things contributed to the history of China's rulers and development as an industrial power. The most prominent factors of the progression of China from an empire to a government ruled by the people are the Chinese Civil War and the rise of Chairman Mao Zedong. Long-term causes of the Chinese Civil War included socio-economic struggles, political weakness, and overthrow of the Manchu or Qing dynasty and the ruling of Yuan Shikai. The Manchu dynasty, also known as the Qing dynasty, at the time was weak and the majority of the population was peasants. As population increased, agricultural production couldn't keep up, leading frequently to terrible famine. Western imports also cut city jobs for citizens of China. Foreign involvement, mainly Europe and North American imperialism, caused humiliation, exploitation of Chinese resources, and further destabilization of the Manchu dynasty. The Opium Wars also split China up into different spheres of influence, raising a stronger sense of dislike of foreign powers within Chinese people. In the Boxer Rebellion, the Chinese attempted and unsuccessfully rose up against the Western influences. Following the death of the emperor and succession of 2-year-old Pu Yi, the Double Tenth Revolution occurred in which the government lost control of the military. Provinces who declared themselves independent came together to form the Chinese Republic. Sun Yat-sen was invited to become the first president, but he passed the power to Yuan Shikai. Under the militaristic ruling of Yuan Shikai, unity was difficult, and Yat-sen set up the GMD to bring China together with the values of nationalism and democracy. He tried to overpower Shikai but failed. However, the GMD and Chinese Communist Party united despite differing views in order to get rid of warlord control. This friendship only lasted temporarily, however, and tensions arose between them once again after the warlords were taken care of. The GMD and nationalists, especially Zhang Jieshi, who joined Sun Yat-sen, targeted communists and began to eradicate them in what is known as the White Terror. The army killed 5,000 communists, and the purification movement killed a total of 250,000 suspected.
Mao was a Chinese communist revolutionary, a strategist, and the leader of the Chinese Revolution. In 1949, he was the architect of the People's Republic of China and held altering control over the nation till he died. He was born in 1893 and the son of a poor peasant who became a landowner and a businessman. The level of education that Mao received was a basic one, but he was able to learn about political and economic problems in China. In 1918, when he moved into the city, he became a strong believer of communism. He accomplished so much throughout time, such as starting new schools, organizing trade unions, and becoming one of the members of the Chinese Communist Party. He attempted to become the leader of the party, but failed to do so, which caused him to become less involved in the activities of the party. When Mao went back to rural China, he learned about the financial situations the peasants were in, and also the way they were being treated by the landowners. When he rose as the leader of the party once again, he advocated that the peasants should be the ones to lead the revolution.
Chiang Kai-shek, the new nationalist leader, eliminates the communists. Instead, on focusing on reforms for the country, Chiang's government focused on battling communism in China as well as dealing with Japan's aggression. This later starts the Chinese Civil War. The Long March lasted from 1934 to 1935. It was a military retreat of Mao and his Red Army to avoid the nationalists and to rule the northern areas. During this time, they gained support from the peasants and had rebuilt the Red Army. In result, the Long March helped Mao get power and become the leader of the communists. After that, Mao had advocated land anti-reform, which gained support from the peasants. In result, peasants joined communists and many joined the Communist Army, also known as the Red Army. This resulted in the Chinese Civil War between Kuomintang nationalists and the Chinese Communist Party. It lasted from 1927 to 1937. Had a break to fight the Japanese on 1937 to 1945, and began again for the communist victory on 1946 to 1949. Mao Zedong's Red Army and its communist ideals took over all of China. The country's people were poor and exhausted. Communism promises equality through wealth and prosperity. This was ideal to many of the poorest people in the country, which were most of China. The Red Army became a powerful force because of the Long March. Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist government and army had no choice. At this point, all of China was desperate, and its people saw Mao Zedong to be the answer to all their problems.
The Republic of China, which were the nationalists who had U.S. support, moved to the island of Taiwan, and the People's Republic of China, which were the communists that were being led by Mao Zedong, created an alliance with the USSR. By the 1950s, China expands and takes Tibet, Mongolia, and parts of India. In order to communicate the people's ideas and struggles, Mao developed a program of contact with the masses that became known as the Mass Line. This Mass Line allowed Mao to create a plan of action based on these ideas and concerns. This was a powerful and very effective tool of propaganda. As time went on, Mao became chairman of the Communist Central Committee. All the leaders in the party praised him and encouraged people to listen to his wisdom. In 1943, many began to rewrite Chinese party history so that Mao would be seen as responsible for all the advances of the party. By 1949, the communists take control. Mao's ideas became the basis for all party activities and government decisions. The government took control of the media and the education system. They also began taking land away from the wealthy and distributing it among all people.